Hey guys, Teaching Lol here, and today will be the first of a three-part series in which we are going to break down the strengths and weaknesses of the LCS teams going to Worlds, in the context of their own region of course. Today's video will be about the NALCS Sweethearts TSM. Going into Worlds, TSM is looking to be one of the Western teams that is trying to make a deep run at the event. So what strengths do TSM possess to allow them to do so? Well, let's go through them. Distributing pressure. TSM as a team in North America have at least one winning lane in all games, but so do other teams like Cloud9. So what sets TSM apart? It's their ability to use the pressure that they accumulate in their lane and transfer it to another lane. A simple example of this is if Bjergsen has pressure, he will work with his jungler to set up vision around the enemy bot side jungle. Then when he is able to push back the enemy mid, he can create a dive with his jungler and get bot ahead successfully, thus distributing his pressure. This sounds simple when describing it, but in game it's much more difficult as you have to weigh the pros and cons of doing this, because if the play does not pay off, it allows the enemy laner you had pressure on to catch up. The beauty of this TSM roster is that their bot and top lane can do this too, as there have been multiple instances of the TSM bot lane using their lead to push out bot and roam mid, helping out Bjergsen. Similarly with Hanser, when he is able to push out, he looks to make invades with the TSM jungler and gank for Bjergsen, once again successfully distributing his pressure. Wave management. Another strength that TSM has developed is their understanding of wave management and using it to pressure objectives like Baron and Drake. This was in display in their Dignitas series, in which their ability to manipulate waves forced Dignitas to contest Baron at an inopportune moments, and allowed TSM to take control of the game, as the play was on their terms. At a tournament in which TSM may be laning against opponents of a similar skill, TSM being able to manipulate waves effectively is an important tool that they must have, as TSM will not be given the opportunity to mechanically outplay their opponent, so must do so using their map. Communication. With TSM losing Doublelift for a split, it forced Hanser to become a more vocal member of the TSM squad and a stronger carry. With Doublelift returning, TSM now have 3 members that can effectively communicate the resources that they require to carry the game, an important skill for a player's success. This was actually a fundamental flaw of the summer 2016 TSM roster at Worlds, in which TSM was unable to play around Hanser's Jace at Worlds, since he was not given the proper resources to carry, such as jungle pressure and extra vision. With this being corrected, it will allow TSM to be more flexible as a team. Furthermore, with Hanser learning to communicate more effectively in the spring split, it should relieve him of his indecisiveness present at last year's Worlds, which was really highlighted in his Kennen game against Samsung Galaxy. With it primarily being a tank meta, Hanser's engages will be vital in TSM's success at Worlds. Meta. Their fourth strength coming into Worlds is the current meta, as it actually highlights the strengths and masks the weaknesses of every TSM member. For example, in the top lane, the meta at Worlds will be primarily tank tops with a lot of engage. This is great for TSM as it emphasizes Hanser's ability to find some game-changing engages, but also potentially negates the advantages that the eastern top laners like Khan, Huni, or Qvei could have over him. I also want to clarify that I do think that Hanser can potentially match up with them, but given his inconsistencies at MSI, it's probably best for TSM that he is on a tank. Furthermore, this tank meta extends to the TSM jungler Svenskeren. Having a tank jungler for Svenskeren means that he can still play aggressively, but if he is too aggressive at times in which his laners do not have pressure, it gives him more opportunities to disengage and not concede gold. This meta also favoring their 2 best players in Bjergsen and Doublelift as the 2 primary damage carries is also a great sign for TSM going into Worlds, since these 2 players are a part of just a handful of Western players that can possibly compete individually with their LCK counterparts. Biofrost also benefits from this meta, as he can play both Ardent Sensor supports and Engage supports extremely well. Now that we covered TSM's strengths going into Worlds, let's discuss a possible weakness. Now I don't think this is TSM's only weakness going into Worlds, but it is their most prominent one that they should be looking to fix. Inconsistent decision making. So we know that TSM as a team is able to communicate well, allowing them to be a decisive team as they are usually on the same page. This works well against bad teams as their players can barely communicate well with one another. The issue is that most of the teams attending Worlds will not be plagued with this problem, meaning the team that makes the better decision within the game will win. This is an issue that plagues TSM. Throughout this split, TSM has had multiple instances within a game in which they make a poor decision that gives the enemy an opportunity to come back or further their lead. A simple example of this is that TSM could be setting up vision around topside to supplement Hans's pressure in order to secure him a bigger lead. But all of a sudden the enemy starts Drake. Rather than safely trading Drake for an advantage for Hanser, they choose to contest Dragon, leading TSM at times to get killed and still give up Drake. Now all the hard work they put into accruing an advantage for Hanser goes to waste, as the other team will have gained an even greater advantage. This may be fine in NALCS, but at Worlds this cannot occur as it can snowball into a loss. Overall, based off of these strengths and weaknesses, and assuming an average group draw, I would personally look for at a minimum quarterfinal finish from this TSM roster. Do you agree or disagree with any of the strengths and weaknesses I listed? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this content and would like to see more, please like and subscribe, as I'll be covering G2 Esports and Immortals next. Catch you guys later.